Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole, and welcome to the podcast. We'll be sharing wisdom and encouragement from my mom, a woman who has created a 36-year marriage full of joy and love, and raised 3 children to adulthood that love her and love each other. We'll be talking about how to be a great mom, how to be a great wife, and how to love your life in the process. All right. I think one of the biggest challenges of our time is the loneliness epidemic and how many people feel so isolated and that they don't have a team around them. And I just wanted to look up a stat on that because I just think it's so mind-boggling. But according to parents.com, there's this new survey that they just did in 2024 where of more than 1,000 people, and 2/3 of parents said that parenting makes them sometimes or even frequently feel lonely. And, that with loneliness follows burnout, stress. I mean, human beings were created. I'm obsessed with this idea that human beings were created, and one of the first things God did was put us in community. And for all of human history, we've had these such strong social connections. And now some people don't even have, so many people can't even name a best friend or someone they would call if they were in trouble. And it's a tragedy, and it makes me furious, to be honest with you. I think it is just so heartbreaking. And so I talk to a lot of people kind of in my life stage about how hard it is to make friends. And a lot of people struggle with once you become an adult and you're out of college, and where do you even make friends? And so I wanted to talk to you about how do you even think about going about making friends? So just kind of to start, talk a bit about the importance of having a support system for yourself as you are parenting.
Sure. Well, you can't do it all. So you have to have support and friendship and somebody you can talk to and vent with. Otherwise, you're going to cry in a puddle. So it's important to reach out to people and to build relationships, actively build relationships by doing things with people and helping them. And they'll hopefully help you, and you'll gravitate towards people that will make your life better and be a positive influence in your family.
So you spoke about venting, but what are some of the different things that you need? So I think a lot about, just the emotional support. There's I'm not just a mom, I'm a human woman as well that needs female friends just to connect with and just be a normal person with. And then I also think a lot about sharing the joys and responsibilities of having children and raising children. But I think, how do you think about the different kinds of support that you need? So there's the friendship aspect of it. So having women that you can speak to about your children or life and what's frustrating you. I think there's people that you want to have fun with, and hopefully those are the same people. But there's also the need for sharing the joys and responsibilities of raising children, and having a support system that you can balance things. So how do you think about those two separate things, or do you often think about those together?
I think friendships are extremely important. I think it's important to be able to share something with. I think it's important to have somebody you can call if you have a problem. And say you get very, very sick and somebody needs to pick up your child, you have to have people you trust. And that takes time and experiences to have that trust. But and sometimes you have to move and you have to start all over. But you just reach out, and church is a great way to start to meet people. But you need to make sure that people you trust are trustworthy. And that starts with you being trustworthy.
So what do you look for in a friend? You talked about trustworthiness, but is there anything else that you look for when you try to find a friend?
How do they treat their husband? How do they treat their kids? How do they talk about their parents? How do they talk about other people? How do they not tip? I've had, do they have a housekeeper and not treat them well? I've had, people I've had to stop being friends with all those things, sadly. And it just takes time. And it's not easy to find a great friend, but when you do, they're worth their weight in gold.
I love that. I think, to your point on somebody that you can rely on and taking different experiences, what kinds of things do you like to experience with somebody before you feel like you can trust your children with them?
I watch very closely how they treat their spouse and their kids, how they treat other people, how they treat the teachers, how they You know, in a car, are they driving safe? When you go to their house, is it a safe environment? I've had people that I've seen that have not buckled you in a seatbelt.
Oh, geez, really?
Yeah. And that's like, that's the last time that's going to happen. I know, it's just, sometimes it's just surprising, but you just have to just watch.
Yeah, I hear that. And then, so that's kind of friends with children, but what about friends just for friendship's sake? What do you typically look for in a friend for that?
Somebody that it's helpful for me if they believe in Jesus. They have the same belief system that I do, so I can talk and they know what I'm talking about when I talk about it. Somebody that's a good listener and somebody that I can be a good listener with. Somebody who's positive, somebody that is respectful.
Yeah, I love that. And so what are some watch outs with friends? Because I think we've spoken a lot before about balancing your family and your social life or your service life or your work life. So how do you think about what are some watch outs of building a very robust friend group?
Well, I think you can go out and volunteer and forget that you've got a family at home that needs you. And I think if you go out and try to save the world, but you miss your family at home and don't take care of them and their needs, that you're not saving the world. You know, you're adding to the trauma of the world. So I think to put your family first after you put God first is important.
And that extends kind of to a social situation.
Absolutely.
And so how do you, what does that look like practically for you?
Yeah, it looks like giving grace to people. You know, let's say that they have a sick child or you had big plans with them and then they can't make it at the last minute. Do I get upset with them? No. I give them grace. I say, it's okay. Can I help? Can I drop off dinner? Can I go to the grocery store for you? And, you know, if they're genuinely, you know, have a problem, try to help them. If they're always taking advantage of you, they're not a friend. And you just need to be discerning on what is important for your family, but keeping your family, you know, as the priority in your kids. And anybody that asks you to not do that is not a friend.
Yeah, I love that. I want to talk a bit about what it looks like to be a good friend and how do you think about being a good friend. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things that you've struggled with too, is people not understanding that your priority is God and then your family. And then you're always there for them, but sometimes you have to make a decision that is not, is investing in your children as opposed to necessarily investing in them at this current time. And you might have to call them back or something. So how do you, as a friend, what are some things that you think make a good friend? And then what are some things that you just need to learn to kind of roll with the punches on?
Well, I think you need to prioritize your family's safety, your family's happiness, and what your family needs over your friends. And anybody that asks you to not do that is not going to be a good fit for you. And somebody that is understanding that life changes, kids get sick, husband's cars break down. You know, somebody that can say, what can I do to help? And that's what I try to do is, what can I do to help? I know you're in this situation. What can I do to help?
So it seems like for you, friendship is really keeping an eye on somebody, seeing challenges that they're going through and supporting them. What else do you think makes a good friend?
Someone's there for you. Somebody can laugh with you. Somebody that doesn't take life too seriously and realizes that life's tough, but let's laugh about it and move on. Make the best out of it.
Yeah. Who is your best friend right now and what do you like about her?
Could be him. Could be my husband.
Or him. No, it can't be your husband. That's cheating. We already talked about him.
I would say you're very high up there. And that's is a joy and a pleasure to have raised a daughter that you want to be friends with. I think it's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Very important. And then I have a lot of different friends that I have for different reasons. You know, some people are great at empathizing with me. Some people are great at praying with me. Some people are great to be there if I need something. So I just, for different reasons, I have different friends. Plus, when you move, you have different friends all over. So.
True. So how do you find friends? You mentioned church was a big one.
Yes. Church is a big one. Sometimes it's my husband's colleague's wives. Sometimes it's somebody I meet at a workout, at a grocery store, at school with the kids at that, you know, at that point in time. At this stage in my life, it's church and just out and about, out and about. And you need different things at different ages of your life. So I may not need the same as I used to because, I've raised children, I know myself well. So.
And so you also mentioned that you've moved away. How do you keep up with friends that you're not physically with?
Well, that's great about the internet and texting and forever friends. Sometimes with forever friends, you don't talk but once a year, but you just send them a note and say, I miss you and I love you tremendously. I'm praying for you. And that's enough for a good friend.
How do you build that habit of keeping in touch with friends that you're not physically close to?
If I'm scrolling on my phone or I see something that we've laughed about previously, maybe a movie we've gone to see together or an experience we had, I'll just text them and say, hey, thinking of you. Hope you're doing great. You're an amazing friend.
Yeah,
love you much.
Okay, so one of the other challenges that I've heard is that parents have a tendency to become friends with the parents of their kids' friends instead of having their own friends.
Yes, definitely I have done that.
So what are the pros of that? And then what are the cons of that?
The pros of that is you always have a great Friday night or a Saturday night because the families get together. The cons are if the kids grow apart and you're not spending as much time, there's not as much in common. And, people change. So I think you just need to keep a plethora of friends that can satisfy you,
So you would tend to balance it more with having a diverse group of types of friends.
Yes.
Okay. But there's nothing, it's good to have friends that are your kids'
Absolutely.
friends, parents.
And I wish it just worked out fabulously all the time, but sometimes it doesn't. So you just need to have other friends.
Yeah. Okay, so if you have one challenge for our wonderful family of viewers to go and build a good friendship, what is a challenge that you can give them to do? Maybe this week.
Go and just smile at somebody in the grocery store. Do something nice for somebody at your workout, ask them how their day is, and just try to start building a friendship.
I love that. Okay.
No, I love that. I think you do.
Okay.
Done.
Okay. So how do you think about those two separate things, or do you often think about those together?
I don't. It's a good one, right?
Okay. Okay, we're laughing. We're laughing. We're crying. Okay. It's a professional environment. Okay. What was I even saying?